PewDiePie is the #1 most subscribed to YouTuber-ish. Currently at 90 million subscribers, probably going to change before this is done. If you're even kind of connected to the internet, you kind of know who he is. You've probably heard of some controversy he's been involved in. Or you've heard his name come up like maddening whispers from the shadows. I understand. You're an entertainer, constantly putting yourself out there. You're gonna make some people upset. There are 7.5 billion people on this planet. You can't win everyone. Personally, I am extremely forgiving when it comes to offensive comedy, or as some would call it, problematic content. And come on, Pews uploads a video every single day. Give the man a break. Not every video's gonna be a winner. The thing is though, is that over time, patterns begin to emerge in your content, revealing your politics and priorities. And if you're not quite perceptive or knowledgeable or even looking for it, it's easy to miss. The first controversy that got my attention was in 2017 during a live stream. In this moment, he had what has since been called a heated gamer moment.
What a fucking nigger. Jeez, oh my god, what the fuck? Sorry, but what the fuck?
Let's be a little charitable here and go with what some of his most ardent defenders would say. Felix, or PewDiePie, is from Sweden. Things are different there. You just don't understand. He wasn't raised in our culture. It's difficult for him to adjust. And all of that may very well be true. But you can kind of see on his face that he immediately regretted saying it. Also an earlier clip that didn't get attention like this one did, but it was a different context. For a lot of people, all of this is enough to cancel him. But it's not satisfactory enough for me. It's very simple to play Where's Waldo and try to find someone saying something bad. And ultimately, this point does come down to an offensive word, which is a matter of taste. It's not quite strong enough for what I want. But now this is important because we are setting the table, for we are feasting tonight. Now earlier in the year, in January, February-ish, there was another controversy in which PewDiePie paid these two guys to hold up a sign saying "Death to all Jews" and also say "Subscribe to Keemstar."
Subscribe to Keemstar.
In fact, the Wall Street Journal put out an article highlighting this, drawing attention to it, and pointing out they found a lot of other anti-Semitic content in his videos. By the way, I can't view the Wall Street Journal without a subscription. What's up with that? What losers? This is the 21st century. Get with it, guys. So I wasn't really too attached to the internet when all this happened. You know, I had a life and a lot less free time on my hands back then. A few Google searches, though, shows that quite a few people didn't like it. Lots of people were upset at PewDiePie. Lots of people were mad at the Wall Street Journal. Tension kind of reminds me of my last relationship. It was bad. This controversy made Disney sever a contract with them, which, yeah, makes sense. It's Disney. YouTube also canceled the second season of an exclusive series that was in post-production, although they didn't ban him from the platform. An important distinction to make if you're not that familiar with. So Pews hired these guys through the website called Fiverr. Basically, the site lets you provide services for anyone starting at $5. Usually it's like commission work and whatnot. A lot of people on the website will dress up in costumes and record themselves saying whatever you pay them to say. So, PewDiePie made a video where he paid a bunch of people, and he paid these two to write "Death to all Jews" on the sign and say "Subscribe to Keemstar." PewDiePie made a statement saying that the intent was to point out the absurdity of internet culture and how far some people would go for $5, which in my opinion is a fine idea. But you think you might want to make it obvious that's the point of the joke. While watching the video, the vibe that comes off is not one of a clever satirist, but rather one of someone trying to be edgy just for the sake of it.
Program a graph that looks like a dick. Done. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I will do any crazy and bizarre challenge you want. Drink bleach. Sign to behold. Death to all. Tell us how to pronounce your given message. Subscribe to Keemstar. I decided to make a second video and this time be a little bit more subtle with my my hate speech. I'm just kidding. There was a girl that said she will dance to your music. So I sent her DJ Adolf and see if she would go through with it. Cause I don't know, that's just funny to me. I asked these cartoon artists who make cartoon versions of your face to make one of my granddad. Here's a picture of my granddad, Joseph Goebbels. And then I asked a Photoshop artist who retouches images to retouch one of my other granddad. Could you please make him look younger, fresher, etc. Listen, all right, before everyone starts judging me, all right, they get paid, they want to do this, all right? So don't be all like, oh, PewDiePie has money, so he makes other people do weird shit, all right? I'm sure they are more than happy by the fact that I'm helping their business. I am supporting businesses right now, okay?
Now, with this in mind, the statement, to me at least, it comes off as a post hoc rationalization for this kind of content, which in my opinion is even worse. But maybe we can still look past this. It's okay. The culture of YouTube has a long and rich history of edgy humor. They have a lot of stock in mock shock jocks. I'm not gonna take shots, I just want to point out he's the biggest on the block. Not that there's anything wrong with edgy content and edging. I read my Twitter PMs. I know what some of you people are thinking about my hair. I know what you guys are up to. Let's talk about how he handled all this.
Get used to your past being held against you by the media.
Oh, look at that. It's dead inside. Just like me. So instead of just acknowledging that, yeah, it makes sense people wouldn't like this joke, the PewDiePie instead believed in some conspiracy that media was out to get him, especially older media, and that they had it out for him because he's the most subscribed to person on the largest internet platform.
And I don't want people to think that, oh, I can joke about whatever I want. It doesn't have to affect me. I'm PewDiePie. I understand that these things have consequences. This video is not me trying to justify that. Here's the thing though. They don't call it jokes. They call it posts. This whole thing is not a post. It was an attack towards me. It was an attack by the media to try and discredit me, to try and decrease my influence and my economic worth. That's what this was.
There's an obvious connection to be made here between him and Trump, but I do think it is important to have some nuance here. PewDiePie is not Trump. Hey, it's as easy as that. But their emotional reactions are similar, being that both of their reactions are rooted out of discontent for being criticized for their actions.
A thing that I saw a lot on the media was that because I said Wall Street Journal did this attack on me, and people just didn't believe me, like what does Wall Street Journal has to gain from that? Or they're such a different organization, like they have nothing to do with what I do, so it wouldn't make any sense. Well, here's a graph showing the trust in media going down based on age. I assume that pieces like this is not helping with that. Here's a graph of the newspaper ad revenue from digital and print, showing decrease of revenue in the media. Oh, okay, so Wall Street is losing influence and income. I wonder who's gaining that right now. The amount of cherry picking that the media came out with after this whole thing to prove this narrative that I am somehow an anti-Semite was beautiful. Please keep doing it. It's hilarious.
And he has stuck with this. It's been 2 years.
Vox talked in this article about my alliance with the alt-right. This is something I've been accused of before and have said, no, that's not true.
2 years.
They mention the alt-right 29 times in this article. It's almost like they're obsessed with these things.
And here's a bit where he defends Jordan Peterson using the exact same logic.
I don't know if I want to expose myself to this hard-hitting evidence and facts that they got me with. I reviewed Jordan Peterson's self-help book. Jordan Peterson is not alt-right. He's another figure that the media doesn't like, so they label him as alt-right as a way to discredit him. He's repeatedly disassociated himself with alt-right personalities.
So this article doesn't call Jordan Peterson alt-right. You can even see the line in PewDiePie's video. It calls him right-wing personality and alt-right hero, which is kind of accurate. He is a right-wing personality and he is a hero to the alt-right. But hey, maybe he hasn't studied Peterson like some nerds have. I already made 3 videos about that guy though. We're done. May I also add that all of my videos about Jordan Peterson were all uploaded before PewDiePie uploaded this video about Jordan Peterson. Aha! I win. You didn't watch my videos, did you, sucker? Why would he?
Morphine administered.
Another nice controversy happened in December. At the end of one of Pew's videos, he did a bunch of shout-outs to smaller channels. One such channel is this ER guy. Pew said he enjoyed ER's Death Note review, but if you look at the rest of his content, there's a lot of Nazi stuff in there. But now you know, maybe he didn't mean this either. Maybe he just wanted to give a whole bunch of shout-outs, and he got a little carried away. He was so excited to help others grow out of the benevolence of his heart. He didn't do the full due diligence that might be expected. He didn't watch the rest of the content. He didn't realize what was going on in there. It was an honest mistake. The Death Note thing, by the way, made a joke about Heather Heyer getting killed and run over by a white supremacist. He didn't name her, but if you're kind of familiar with the event and these kinds of people on the internet, a lot of them have been gaslighting and lying, saying she died of a heart attack. It's just something people like me would pick up on. Honestly, I would not expect PewDiePie to catch that. He's not an American, and I can't expect him to spend that much time studying these people. But most people don't have 3 similar controversies like this. Kind of one heck of a coincidence. It's very easy to say that his audience and fan base are all children. I don't believe that. It's a common joke that some people really don't like his content, but I can see why some do. He's a charismatic guy. He brings a lot of energy to his videos and he consistently uploads almost every single day. Even I will admit that I have found some of his content humorous. Uninspired and unoriginal, but you know, slightly humorous. Just like Jimmy Fallon. So he fits in perfectly with YouTube. So let's look at r/PewDiePie submissions. Every week he uploads a video titled Why, or Last Week I Asked You. He also uploads something else called Meme Review. In these videos he goes over images, GIFs, and videos and whatever is submitted onto his subreddit. There are over 1 million people on this subreddit. I've found a couple of interesting submissions here. Just type in N-word. No, not the actual word, but the letter N followed by the word word. It brings up a lot of results. I was just looking for this one super racist post I remember seeing there, and I found all this. You can throw your hands up in the air and say, you can't control your fans. What are you gonna do? Come on now. It's just an interesting note you might want to make about the kind of people in his community and the kind of content that is allowed on the official subreddit. Let's talk about Twitter. I'm not going to dig through his tweets and look for something offensive. I just want to show you this one thing. So this video of his I referenced earlier, My Response S02E01 Pew News. It referenced the Vox article that pointed out that PewDiePie was following a lot of questionable personas on Twitter, has continued to like and promote channels run by alt-right affiliated users.
The second argument that Vox had, or evidence that I have ties to the alt-right, is because I follow people on Twitter that they deem alt-right, such as Ben Shapiro and Lazy Green, among others. That's right, Lazy Green, alt-right hero, everyone. You remember that?
You know, he was so mad that he was being taken out of context, but would you look at that? If you pull up this Vox article, you'd see that he's taking it out of context. The Vox article does not call Ben Shapiro or Lazy Green alt-right, but rather it establishes that they are connected to such communities on the internet. Bit of a nuanced difference. He laughed this off and made a joke that, well, if I'm following people, it makes them a Nazi, so I'll follow Vox.
Lol, according to Vox, being followed by PewDiePie means you're alt-right. So what if I follow Vox? Does that mean Vox is alt-right? Oh. Can't wait to see your response to this, Vox. I basically have you in a corner now.
You may notice here, though, he didn't actually address the point or attempt to explain anything about it. So when I looked at his Twitter, I saw that he was following Jordan Peterson, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Lauren Southern, Stephen Molyneux, Paul Joseph Watson, and Dave Rubin. There are more, but those are just the big names. These are not random personas who happen to be conservative. These are far-right extremists. He also followed Notch, the creator of Minecraft, who has gone really far off into conspiracy crazy land. But he made Minecraft, so Understandable. And JonTron, a straight up white nationalist. But again, JonTron is another big YouTuber who didn't quite build himself up like that in the first place. So now if we were to be even more charitable towards PewDiePie, you could claim that just because he follows all these people doesn't mean he agrees with them. Maybe he's just keeping tabs on them. How many people do you know hate Donald Trump but still follow him on Twitter? Come on now, it's a non-zero number. But I would have to respond to that with, he wasn't following any other overtly political figures. There wasn't any left-wing people in this list, and I wouldn't expect him to follow any American politicians, but most of the people he follows are American pundits. So later on in this video, he says this is guilt by association.
This whole thing is just a giant guilty by association. Reviewing a guy's book, how could he? Playing in a public video game, following someone on Twitter.
Which again is just him not wanting to be criticized. See, now let me spell it out for you if you don't understand this. The people that you associate with are an extension of you. If you spend all day hanging out with junkies, you might be a junkie yourself. You may have noticed I was speaking in the past tense there for a lot of that. It's because PewDiePie has since unfollowed everyone on Twitter, with the one sole exception of Korean K-pop boy band BTS. Now you might want to say this is a step in the right direction, but I don't think so. To me, this is a pretty clear reaction to this image being shared and making the rounds all across the internet lately. He still hasn't said anything disavowing any of these people, by the way. I would hypothesize that, once again, he doesn't want to be criticized for this. But in case there's any doubt, did you know that he collaborated with Ben Shapiro?
Forget about the disrespect. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Oh boy, where do I even begin with this one?
Ben Shapiro, do we have time for bonus meme?
So PewDiePie asked me to review some memes. Memes are this thing where people put funny stuff on my phone. Here is one of these memes. Let's take a look.
Hey guys, it's me, PewDiePie, back to freeload more unoriginal content for my fans. Today we're gonna platform cuddly Ben Shapiro. Never mind, he's a gigantic piece of shit and literal cartoon villain. Think of the epic memes.
We can summon Ben Shapiro to do bonus meme.
Think of him owning the lamp-tards. This bit with Ben Shapiro even starts with Shapiro saying,
So PewDiePie asked me to review some memes.
Now I don't know if that's just him reading off of a script, but this sentence implies that PewDiePie reached out to Ben Shapiro and not the other way around. And I do believe it's important to point this out because it kind of ruins any defense PewDiePie has about being a gullible idiot. He can't go and say, guys, I had no idea who Ben Shapiro was. I didn't know how bad he was. He's just some guy's face I've seen a lot. We have time for bonus. We're just gonna do this.
Ben, where are we at?
Fortnite.
Okay, I'm starting to understand why people don't like PewDiePie's content. The next part of this Shapiro shindig, I should warn you, it's extremely uncomfortable.
I don't dance. I give this meme a 3. Next meme. Okay, so.
They even edited in a heart. What the fuck? Which is funny, because I can feel mine shutting down.
Ben Shapiro destroys my sandcastle that I spent all day making. I would do that. Why would you spend all day making a sandcastle? It's a complete waste of time. The waves are just gonna wash it away. Learn to live with the consequences of your actions. If you make a sandcastle, I will preemptively knock it down because what are you, some sort of child?
Or a Buddhist.
Be an adult, grow up.
So I get that he's trying to make a joke here, but damn, this is just not funny. I don't know. Maybe this is like lowbrow. But maybe it's the eyebrows. That's the best joke I've got. Maybe it's a 30-year-old man saying he would destroy your sandcastle, but then he's telling you to grow up. God, I feel bad for his kids. All right, don't worry, I'll stop making fun of these clips right here. Link to the vids below if you want to hurt yourself or you feel like dying. I understand. I won't kink shame. To me, this whole section is the most damning one. It's like I said, if someone sees you spending all of your time hanging around junkies and in junkie dens, they might go, hey, you're spending all of your time hanging around junkies and in junkie dens. It's a little suspicious. Also in this video, he's citing Sam Harris.
But now there's even problem with Patreon. For example, Sam Harris, a podcaster, tweeted out a few days ago that, as many of you know, the crowdfunding site Patreon has banned several prominent content creators from its platform. While the company insists that each was in violation of its terms of service, these recent explosions seem more readily explained by political bias. So basically, one of the bans was of Sargon of Akkad. He's defended me from the Wall Street Journal scrutiny, and basically his Patreon was banned because, from what I can tell, he called Nazis the N-word, and this was something that he did outside of his channel.
And using clips from the Rubin Report.
And the Patreon CEO and founder has expressed that you shouldn't have to worry about losing your revenue on Patreon.
One thing I feel like I just have to say, I want to like send this, like,
That's why you're here. Bring it.
like most creators watching this, you just don't have to worry about this. You just don't have to worry about it. Like people like you and most people who are like engaging in healthy dialogue and talking about tough issues, like this is just not something that concerns most creators. And it like kills me a little bit that there's this fear.
I mean, clearly that fear wasn't unmerited.
Times change.
And don't you worry. I will get to those too. It's just these things, they take time. He actually watches the Rubin Report? That's kind of suspicious.
Bitch lasagna, bitch lasagna.
Last part, here we go. You may have heard the phrase, subscribe to PewDiePie. This began a while back when an Indian music page named T-Series began to approach his subscriber number. So PewDiePie and his fans began spreading this hashtag everywhere. Is it a hashtag? Is it a meme? I'm not quite sure. They began spreading and promoting this to try to beat it out. And a lot of people, they got on board with this. Here's Jordan Peterson.
Oh, hey, Jordan, what are you doing right now?
I'm subscribing to PewDiePie.
Here's someone tagging the Holocaust Memorial. Here's an article saying that the Christchurch shooter in New Zealand said it during the stream in which he murdered a whole bunch of people in that mosque. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you the clip, or the guy for that matter, and I'm not gonna blame PewDiePie for that. Well, not directly anyway. There's no way of knowing for sure the extent of any influence PewDiePie may have had on this guy. I guess you could say he killed that meme. That's how you do an edgy joke, Phil. It's a horrible tragedy. You know, it's awful. He's shocked that his name would be associated with such a heinous act, an evil person. So, the first video he uploads after the shooting, you might expect it to be a condemnation of sorts. Maybe a heartfelt monologue, a strong condemnation of this killer and the ideology that surrounds him. But instead, he uploads this.
Hey! It's me!
Check out that television behind him. It's a CRT, so it doesn't quite exactly show up well on camera, but it's this image. Now, I'm a nerd, so I know that is the Japanese kaiju Gamera with the text, "Shut the fuck up, liberal." First video uploaded since the shooting. It's got that in it. First video uploaded since that one guy said subscribe to PewDiePie and went on a murderous rampage. Shut the fuck up, liberal. First video uploaded since that other image of all the people PewDiePie followed on Twitter started getting circulated. Shut the fuck up, liberal. You know, that seems kind of bad, but maybe that's just bad luck. Maybe this video was already filmed and ready to go before the shooting. The editors just put it up anyway. Gotta get something out. Maybe now he only used this image because all of his detractors are liberals. Liberal media, lizards, Gamera. Come on now, you're seeing this connection, aren't you? Come on, it's not that hard. It's just another meme. What are you so upset about? He's just siding with the white nationalists to own the libs. Now, I don't know if this is a meme or something in his community, and some inside joke I'm not quite aware of, but I did a reverse image search of this image, and I found this Chan Fred. Now, it is an anonymous poster, so we do have to take it with a grain of salt, but it's still representative of what certain people think about PewDiePie's content. In 2016, no less. Not pushing an agenda. Okay. So now you're probably kind of aware of this certain phenomenon on YouTube. You're watching one video and then you get a recommendation that says something like SJW destroyed compilation for 2069. The YouTube algorithm tries to suggest similar videos to what you're watching and what you finished completed watching and what you click like on, blah blah blah. Sometimes it works pretty well. Sometimes it backfires when others try to hijack it. And when you're hosting Ben Shapiro, talking about and defending Jordan Peterson, platforming the Rubin Report, showing more clips of Sam Harris, and fucking everything else I've gone over in this video already, it's kind of obvious what's going to happen to the recommended feed of your viewers. Seriously now, why the hell do I even know who Jordan Peterson is? I can't even name most of my college professors anymore, but I know this asshole from another country. What's up with that? So, Felix here may claim that all of this is just guilt by association. That he's number one and he makes so much content now that some of it's going to connect to some bad people. But then again, that's bullshit. He's number one. You can't convince me he doesn't know about this effect. He 100% understands how this works. Now PewDiePie, he's not immune to criticism. And he's not entirely innocent. Here's a bunch of clips from them you may find interesting.
There's plenty of violent material in the Old and New Testaments. Hey, I'm an Orthodox Jew. I read the Old Testament a lot. But believers in those particular texts are not currently ramming airliners into towers or beheading journalists or mutilating female genitalia. So,
if the politicians won't stop the boats, then we'll stop the boats. No more! No more! Illegal immigration!
If they assimilated, they would enter the gene pool eventually and would just,
we, as Jewish Pittsburghers, are committed to our values to each other and to supporting all victims of the white supremacy you espouse. This obviously is a disgusting and vile slur against me. She is a radical anti-Semite who has backed terrorists in the past. The myth of the tiny radical Muslim minority is just that. It's a myth.
You have this crazy alliance between the feminists and the radical Islamists.
I've spoken against white nationalism, but I'm an empiricist.
The only other rational reason is that, well, the West needs to fall.
See, for the Jewish community, really, for Jews who really care about being Jewish.
This is not about frigging gun control.
Everybody knows what's happening in Europe. We have demographic replacement of indigenous Europeans.
It's about Islam control.
The thing I want to talk about today is the Great Replacement.
We have a rapid Islamization. We have a Balkanization.
These are good, decent people who love their country and have suffered enormously to retain its integrity, and they should be celebrated and honored, not slandered.
And it's getting more severe to live in European countries every day, and a lot of people also think that Western Europe is lost.
And, unfortunately, it's a myth that's going to get a lot of civilized people killed.
But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just memes. Now folks, if you enjoyed this video, please do the usual, the likes, the comments, the subscribes, but may I also interest you in an official Patreon page. That's right, baby, we've launched. We're only launching because Patreon is making some weird new rules in the future, and I wanted to get up and in on that before the rules go into effect. But that's it, it's still there, baby.